Okay, I'm going to do one arm dumbbell extensions. Always have a slight bend in your knee, knees. I'm going to stay with this weight. Just go back and forth. Fifteen. 15. I'm using my knees a little bit, my legs a little bit to cheat. It's kind of similar to what I explained on the biceps. Use them as a spring. I start to get stuck here. 10. So whenever I get stuck where I feel like I'm not going to be able to get it all the way up, I add a little spring action with my knees, and it gives me a little bit of a spot. That's a good cheat. Cheats aren't meant to keep you from avoiding doing the correct form, or a lot of times when your body starts to cheat, you're avoiding a particular muscle, and you're trying to shift. When that muscle starts to get tired, you're trying to shift that burn and that pain to other muscles to help you so you can keep going. And that's when we start to lose our form. So if you can learn the good cheats, it's a way of actually spotting yourself so you can go farther into a set or lift heavier than you normally could while keeping your good form. So with these, going this way, when you start to get stuck, it's like you can't push through a movement like this. I mean, it's like once you're done, you're done. So if you get a little spring action and get just a little bit of momentum, just enough from that spring to get past that sticking point, then the tricep takes over the rest of the way. You're still keeping your form. You haven't shifted it to any other muscles, like to your shoulders or your forearms or anything. It still stays all in the tricep, and you can take your tricep more to failure that way. And when you take a muscle as far as you can take it like that to failure, that creates intensity, and the intensity is what makes you grow and change. you always have to challenge yourself, and no set should really be easy. And most of my workouts are, I start off with a lighter, easier weight to get the muscle warmed up, the muscle that I'm working warmed up, get the blood flowing. And a lot of times I take that first set or so on whatever I do to 20, 30, 40 reps just to get the blood in that area, to get it warmed up, so I don't hurt myself. And plus, I like that feel. I like to have that layering. It's a building effect. So it's like, then I increase the weight, do as many as I can do, I increase the weight again. Once you get to know your body and you know how you're feeling on particular days, sometimes my jumps are smaller jumps, smaller increments, and I keep with the higher, moderate to higher reps. A lot of times when I'm feeling good, my jumps after that first set or two, when I feel warmed up, my jumps in weight might be a little bit bigger, and obviously that'll make my reps stay in the lower range. But it's kind of a building process, and one set leads to the other, and that also, to me, it feels like it layers your pump. It's like you get one layer of blood from the first set, you do another set, you get more blood in there, and it's just a layering effect, and the muscle just gets bigger and more pumped. My triceps are pretty pumped there. I think I'm going to finish with one more thing. So that was 9 sets so far. So all of my overhead extension with the dumbbell, that was 10-pound dumbbell. That first set was 8 pounds. This set is going to be 10 pounds. And notice when I'm doing these, I'm keeping my elbows up. A lot of times, natural reaction is your elbows want to drop, just because it makes it a little bit easier, because you don't have to push up against gravity as much. So you want to make sure you keep those elbows up, and even when you're coming down, a lot of times that's where that wants to drop. So you want to just think of just rotating at your elbows. Everything else stays locked in place, and you're kicking them up and back. I think this is going to be the last set because I felt those last one's pretty good. My triceps are kind of aching and tired and burning. See, they want to drop. My triceps are done. Those last few that I did where they weren't coming all the way up, those were burns off the bottom. When you get to the point to where you don't have the muscle strength because it's fatigued to push it all the way up, you can shorten your motion, keep your form the same, just shorten your motion. So I just started going off the bottom part because I wasn't able to push it all the way through. I just started working off the bottom, but I tried to keep my elbow up, and by doing that, it keeps it totally still on the muscle that you're working, which are triceps, and it burns it out. It takes it to failure, where you're going to get more out of that than losing your form and swinging, because then you're starting to bring in other muscles, and yeah, if you just keep your form and do the burns off the bottom, it'll totally fatigue the muscle that you're working. You can do that with almost any exercise too, and that way you're still keeping your good form and still targeting the muscle that you want to, and it allows you to take it to failure rather than bringing in other muscle groups and diffusing it. I call it diffusing it. You're kind of not going to get as much when you start to lose your form and bring in other muscles. So anytime that you can just shorten the motion, once the muscles get already fatigued, anytime you can shorten the motion and do just like off the bottom of a movement, and keep going, that's just going to like make that set that more intense, and that's the type of intensity that you need to grow and to change, so you don't hit plateaus. That way it's like you're challenging yourself when you do that. If you challenge yourself every time you work out like that, then your results are going to be so much better and so much faster, and you don't tend to hit plateaus. Your body also, I think it creates a more mature looking muscle, a more dense, harder looking muscle. So if you want to get harder and tighter looking, it helps when you challenge yourself and you push yourself. If you're just using a weight, some of these weights that I used, if I used some of them and just stopped at 12 reps or 15 reps, in the beginning, if I'm just starting to work out, that might give me some results. But if that's how you train year after year and you're not pushing yourself or challenging yourself, that's what causes you to hit plateaus. So when I go use a lighter weight, I'm still pushing. I'm not using a lighter weight and doing just 12 or just 15 or sometimes even just 20. When I use a lighter weight, it's at least 20, if not 30 or more. I really like to push the muscle and fatigue the muscle and then build from there. So I think it's good to do all types of rep ranges, lightweight, moderate weight, heavy weight. Use machines, free weights, body weight exercises, do supersets, and I just posted something on my blog about this too. It's always good to use a variety of different training styles and techniques. It's something they call muscle confusion, and if you do something different, you're training your muscles in a different way. I think you train different muscle fibers, and if you do different exercises, whether it's different free weight exercises that hit the same muscle group, or if you're using a machine versus free weights versus a body weight for the same muscle group. For my triceps, I used basically 2 body weight exercises and 2 free weight exercises. At the gym, I usually do push downs, which are cables. So I usually use a variety of different things to hit each muscle, which is good because you hit it at different angles and hit it in different ways. And when you vary your rep ranges and straight sets, which is what we just did with straight sets, when you use straight sets versus supersets, which is 2 exercises. So say we did the dumbbell extensions with the dumbbell kickbacks, one right after the other, then you rest. That's a superset. if you do 3 exercises, that's a triple set. I call a giant set any more than like 4 or more exercises. So you always want to keep the intensity there. That the intensity, to me, is what keeps you changing. That's what gives you the results. And if you have that intensity, in order to get that intensity, you have to kind of challenge yourself in some kind of a way. So sometimes you can rest less in between sets, like the one-arm things. We did back and forth, non-stop. Notice it's like each time I got back to the same arm, it was harder to get the same number of reps. I think it was, I'll have to go back and watch this, 2015, 10, I think it was. And so when you're resting less in between sets, so that was basically, this arm was resting while this one was going, and vice versa. When this one was going, this was getting a rest. So the rest time was very short. So it was just back and forth nonstop. But that was 3 sets back and forth, and really fatigued him out that way. So I couldn't have done 3 sets of 20 that way. So that just goes to show you that it's like it increases the intensity by doing that. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to switch it up and change it up and keep it different, and keep the muscle growing and changing. So that's what I try to do every workout, and every workout's usually a little bit different in some kind of a way, and a lot of times I just go by how I feel.